Views and content expressed in the following program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the following program.
Hello again, and welcome to Political News, Political Views. No teleprompters, no cue cards, no idiot boards. A couple of idiots, but no idiot boards. My partner Todd.
How you doing this evening?
Yeah. Well, first I got a question because some of the things during our show is you get a little. Rankled every now and then.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Oh, you get wound up too, so don't even go there because I can get you wound up in a heartbeat. Snap the fingers.
But I only see you get wound up. I don't.
I don't usually
so
get wound
anyway,
up.
what I want to do this week is I'm going to try. I would like to stay on the purpose of voting.
Okay.
Because for today's date, depending on when this show is being aired and watched, voting will not have happened. It's on the way. At this point, from where we sit right now, we're 3 weeks away from right now.
Well, you do realize there's over 400,000 votes already cast.
Right. But I'm talking about, walk in, cast your vote, which is what I want to do. I could have done the mail-in. I could have done the absentee. No, I'm going to walk in. I want to put my ballot in there.
I believe in that as well.
It would be nice if I don't think that we give as much importance to voting as we should. Whereas other countries, when they get the opportunity to vote, they go all out. They'll stand there for days to cast their vote.
Well, you got to realize they have to do it that way. That's the way their countries are.
Right. No, I'm saying is I think that we become lax, and you hear this every year. My vote doesn't count. What difference does it make? Well, it does.
It really does. Every vote counts, whether you're for this party or the other party. It doesn't matter. Your vote does count.
But you have to look at it not just casting a vote and being a number. You're giving your opinion.
Yep. What people don't realize is, and like you said, a lot of people feel their vote doesn't matter to the whole system and their situation. But the whole thing is, that one vote, whether you realize it or not, could decide an entire election for a local politician, and it could be a person that you really want in that position. I've seen some really close elections on the local levels.
Well, the gerrymandering has had an effect on it, and we talked about this. And even though it's been in and out of court and it's still not 100% decided, the gerrymandering is wrong. Mm-hmm. I say with the technology that we have, that I believe within just as good of accuracy as a computer or a person, that we could have a computer do it, because a computer has no feelings. It has no. It's told you will block out this area by what information is put into it, addresses and all of that, and it will do it automatically. And then you get candidates out of that area. But with the way it is now, and I'll use myself as an example, because in the smaller elections it's bigger. When you run for governor or senate or something like that, that for you was
statewide.
Different. Yeah, that's state. That's altogether different. But in a district, you're supposed to be represented, and we were not represented in this district.
Let's kind of go into the gerrymandering a little bit first. Because with the gerrymandering, they were drawing. There was no. By looking at it, some of them look like snakes.
That was Gary Peters
and all this.
He was in 3 counties.
Yep. And some of these districts that cross over county lines. I mean, you can see whole cities cut out of that district just because of,
Exactly.
just because they were tuning it towards either a Democrat or a Republican. And now, in our last election in 2018, they passed that proposal for what do they call it? A committee to be formed for doing the not the gerrymandering, but to stop the gerrymandering. And that's supposed to be redrawn. The districts will be redrawn from this 2020 census.
See, I don't think it should be people. I'm sorry, because they still have influence. If you can find 7 independents, and I believe they're out there. I believe you could.
Supposedly, and see, this is only going by what the people tell that are being put into this committee. I mean, supposedly there's 4 Republicans involved in it, 4 Democrats, and
3 independents?
And 3 or 4 independents are supposedly in there.
Well, let's see.
I think there's 12 people to the committee.
What people have to understand is that gerrymandering is not just about voting. It's about not just districts, but how the money comes in, how it's divided up, who gets what. And now, today, the Supreme Court said that Trump can cut the census count before October 31st. I think that's wrong, because get the count right. It doesn't matter. Trump's trying to find certain people that he wants out, and he wants districts redrawn into
Now, this isn't
areas.
about Trump. I think what it is, in my opinion, see, you got a lot of these districts, and I can only speak for Michigan, but we've got a lot of these districts, including with the voting. They want to have the counts go longer than what the Constitution for the state says.
Well,
I mean, and that's not right.
but for this situation with the COVID, because
It's not an excuse. Whether we have a virus or we don't, the Constitution is the law of the land. Whether it be state constitution
you
or the
don't-
federal constitution.
Okay.
There's no exceptions.
I'm glad you brought that up. State Constitution, federal Constitution. When they wrote the Constitution, they didn't have a pandemic.
Nope.
They didn't know there would be a pandemic. And when they keep going back to the Founding Fathers and all of that,
But that's an excuse.
okay,
In my opinion, that is an excuse for
Well, no, I
one
mean,
side
you
or the
can't-
other to change it. And if you want to change the Constitution, you have to
I'm
do
not
it by
saying
a
change the
specific way.
Constitution, but they could have gone into the legislature and said, for this situation, because this is unique. Now, when do you
It's
think we'll
not
have
unique, but it's a
a
situation.
pandemic?
Look, the H1N1 was an epidemic as well.
Nothing to the degree of this one. Not when the federal
This is
government
just-
and the state said you're on lockdown.
They should have never done that.
I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. I'm saying that they did.
Because the cure, like we said this last week, and now we're getting off topic here, but
No, because
at the
we're going
same
to stay on
time,
the voting thing. And
at the same time, they should have never closed. They should have never shut down the country, whatsoever. I mean, you've got the World Health Organization now saying lockdowns aren't good. That I said this last week as well. The cure should not be worse than the disease.
okay.
And right now you've got, 75,000, they're saying 75,000 teenagers since this lockdown have committed suicide. You've got numerous mental health issues coming out of this now.
Now you sound like Trump.
No, this isn't nothing with Trump. This is what's coming out from the World Health Organization.
How many people have to die before? Because I've had people tell me,
Right.
there is no COVID. This is all. They still believe it's a
It's a
hoax.
coronavirus.
Okay, what?
Either way, we've been dealing with coronavirus,
point is-
viruses, H1N1.
Okay.
It's a virus. We get a new virus roughly every 10 years.
Okay, even if we're
They don't. They're now talking about shutting everything down again because of the
Yes.
flu virus.
well, okay,
And now they want to tie it to the coronavirus so that they have an excuse to shut down the economy again.
okay. The latest that I heard, you have to watch who you listen to because
I listen to all of them. I don't listen to just
Okay.
Democratic or Republican. I listen to both
I know that
conservatives
China
and
is
liberal.
going through Beijing. They got 9 million people there. They're testing 3 million a day.
Yep.
And they get the results back of 1 million of them in a day, that's not bad. Israel's on lockdown. England is going through hell because they want to lock down certain areas, and he's got a 3-tier level as to where you're at. But I'm going to bring us back to where we were. My point is that the census and the gerrymandering and how that affects your vote is where we were at. And to take it out of the hands of human beings and put it...
Gerrymandering was made mainly for and it has crossed on both sides of the parties.
Oh, yeah, and they're both wrong.
Gerrymandering was set up to keep in power the senator or Congress people that were currently in.
Right, yeah.
And that's how they maintained power. Yes.
And that's why when they shut it down early, they don't know, they don't have the full count. Now, it doesn't matter who they are. They need to know how many people are in the United States, whether they are legal or illegal. You need to know how many are here. Now, you can't be, I'm sure they're never 100%.
Right.
But Detroit has gotten messed over a few census because they had street people and they never got counted.
Well,
so they actually had more people.
They said what, 60% of Detroit usually gets counted, and that's about at 50 to 60%.
Yeah, and see what's sad is because they missed out on federal dollars. Now, Dennis Archer tried to help out with that, and I believe Clinton made Detroit an empowerment zone because even though the census didn't put him over the amount needed, they figured, with the ones that weren't counted.
Well, they went back and looked at the population, and they went back at the census to look at these to see how close they were to the population, because you got the tax books that are showing how many people, and they got different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
And they were comparing it to the tax records and stuff like that, and they were finding out that 50 to 60% of the people were actually filling out the census.
Yeah, but you don't want your city to lose out on. I mean, those are your tax dollars that are coming back.
As well.
If they're going to another state that did a better job, then you're missing out yourself.
Every city and state misses out because people, for some reason, are against these census paperwork, and they don't even have your name on it.
Well,
they just want to know how many people live in your residence.
What they're doing is people were throwing things in. There was something that happened today. Again, we're getting off target, but I got to bring it up. They asked this judge-elect that they're talking to,
Amy Coney Barrett?
Yeah, they want to use the name. I just wanted to say the judge.
Oh,
because the issue is what they asked her how she felt about the Affordable Health Care Act. She said, "No, I'm going to be independent. I'm going to be." Well, Donald Trump said.
She also, let me clarify what she had said on this. When they asked her about the Affordable Care Act, she said she has to look at this from a judge's point of view of possibly looking at this, because it is coming up, I think, after the election.
On the 10th of November.
And she said she doesn't want to put herself in that position in order to...
And she said she'd be a legal pundit.
Yeah.
But that's not my point.
If she gets on there, she doesn't want to give an opinion and give people hope or lead anywhere.
That's my point. The Trumpster said that in 2015 and 16 that any judges he put on would get rid of that. That was his agenda. That's what he was going to do. I will put judges on that will eliminate that. So that question came up. Now, Trump having a situation with the loyalty oaths, with the, what's the other thing that he does, non-disclosure, and now he's going after people with that. They want the woman that wrote the book on him, one of many, they want her to pay $1 million in campaign ads as a penalty. But the point is, when he's saying all of this, the question was to her, well, he said that that's what you were going to do. he demands loyalty,
But let me point out this.
then he should keep his mouth shut.
He put Gorsuch in there, didn't he?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
But was it him or was it the other one? The one just recently?
Kavanaugh?
Kavanaugh
Yeah.
went against what Trump thought.
No, Kavanaugh didn't. Gorsuch
did.
Yeah.
I mean,
On one issue.
It doesn't matter. These judges, if they're put in, now this AOB, it reminds me of AOC, but AOB.
I don't.
She has already proven to the fact that she's more of a textile. I think the term is. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
She follows the text of the law. In other words, she wants to do, and according to her record, she wants to follow the law and interpret the law the way it should be, not what people are expecting. But Trump did make the statement that he will put conservative judges in there. He has not hidden that. Just like when,
what did he say they would do? What did he say they would do?
They are not going to do what he says.
What did they say he would do? Because he himself, in 2018, was interviewing lower court judges. And the judicial community came out and said, no, you can't do that. You can't interview them to see if they'll work for you. They don't work for you. You're appointing, this is a judge who is supposed to be, and I will give her a lot of credit for her saying that she's going to stay independent, but then, too, they all say that.
They all want the job.
But yeah, I mean,
but you got to be fair. I mean, I know you're.
But wait a minute. He did say, "I want." There's going to be lawsuits filed. He's already got his attorneys in those states, and they're already paid for. Now, this is coming from his mouth. Now, because he lies so much, he could be 50% lying. It's hard to say. But if he's telling the truth, because I think he tells the truth once a day, because his average on telling the truth has gone down, but his average of lying has gone up. So he's a man of.
That's just opinion. That is.
He's a man of conviction,
Yeah.
So anyway, but back to business. But he said that the lawsuits are coming, and that he believes it will be decided in the court, and he wants the judge on there. He wants.
Did not Hillary say to Biden, "Do not concede to the election, no matter what. We will go to court"?
Yeah.
Okay, they're both saying it.
Yeah,
Trump's
but
side saying it, and so is Hillary,
it,
the Democratic side.
Good. Now we're back on track. This is something that I've noticed. Trump has come out in the last 6 months, actually, how the thing is rigged. The statement that he makes, and I want your opinion of this statement, the only way we can lose this election is if it is rigged.
That's how he done it in 2016, too.
He'd been doing it all his life. That wasn't just 2016. That was the Pennsylvania primary. And he stated, if I lose this, the system is rigged. Okay, you keep it up and keep it up and keep it up. Now, interpret that for me. What is he saying?
He feels if he loses that it's rigged against him. I mean, that's just what he said.
So what does that
but the
say
fact
to a
is,
voter?
but when you look at it, look at the polls.
First of all,
I mean, I'm just telling you. Look at the 2016 polls. I mean, they were like Trump only has a 3 to 7% chance of winning, and he turned around and won. Okay, the polls, if you look at them then and look at them now, they're pretty close.
I don't even want to look at the polls. And
I don't believe
I'll tell you why.
Because they're swayed so much.
2016,
they're not picking a proper polling.
Okay, all right. Let's say they call 60% here in Lake Orion, and then they call 40% in Detroit. Then how's that poll going to look?
It's going to be lopsided.
Okay, let's say switch it around. Let's say 60% in Detroit and 40% here.
Still lopsided.
Okay, so you can do it what you want.
But I still think there's a lot of people out here that won't admit that they're voting for Trump.
I can go and
But let's get back to the voting.
Well, see, that's just it. How does a voter listen to that? Now, if you're a Trump voter, well, that's fine. But let's say you're an independent. You haven't made up your mind yet. The only way we can lose this election is if it is rigged, which means it is not in any way, shape, or form fair. stating to me, tell me if I'm wrong, that somebody's doing something underhanded.
Now we're talking about politicians. 90% of them do things underhanded.
That would be. That's what I would think when I hear that. That means something is not right here. If you say that the system is rigged, if you lose, now if you win, it's fair. But if you lose, it's rigged. So, having said that, he keeps saying all these things that are rigged or that are happening. Now, he kind of put his foot in his mouth when those 9 ballots ended up in the garbage can. They found it was a mistake. An intern did it. By the time it got out, what people were wondering is how the hell did Bill Barr find out about it in a small area in Pennsylvania? Was he staying?
That's not the only one that happened, but yeah.
Okay, all right. And now the question is, how did Trump's name get put on them?
Well, they're printed.
What? They're what?
They're printed by the clerks. That's just like the clerk that mail.
Okay, hold on.
Here had 400. Here in Michigan had 400 misprinted ballots that had Trump on as president, and his vice president was the guy from Libertarian Party.
Yeah, but wait a second. So where was Trump's name? Did they actually opened the ballot?
The one that you're talking about.
That was just nine ballots.
Well,
and they retrieved them.
They've been finding ballots. I mean, there's been rumors. I'm going to say rumors because I don't know how.
Okay, I'll tell you how they were rumors, and this is where Trump, he needs to get everybody involved in his lies. He said that
both sides are doing that.
They threw them into the river.
Yeah, there was one with the creek, the river.
Okay, but they didn't know the name of the creek or the river. They didn't know which state it was in. Wait a minute, you didn't know what state it was in? I can see you didn't know the name of the creek or the river. There was one
somebody found him in a ditch, and they called the county sheriff, and the county sheriff's. Yeah.
Okay, how about this one?
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
How about this one that just came out? The Republicans put up drop boxes
in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Democrats over there are saying that's illegal, which it could be over there. But then the Republican Party came back and said, look, we're just making it, what'd they say?
Oh, well, wait a minute. Now, who's in charge of those boxes?
The Republican Party is, for those boxes.
The Republican Party is not supposed to be in charge of the boxes. The county clerk.
Well, this is what I'm telling you they're saying. They were utilizing what they say it was. And I don't agree with it for a simple fact. It was a collection. They were simplifying the collection of the ballots in their districts. Something like that.
Okay, so they didn't take the what the governor of Texas did.
I don't know what the governor of Texas did.
He put 1 drop box per county.
But that's Texas. What you brought up was California.
Right.
In California, what the drop boxes were illegal. In Texas, they weren't.
No, they're not. But in 1 box,
but California also ballot harvests.
1 box in Harris County of Houston. 1 box for 4 million people.
They better empty it a lot. They can go to their clerks as well. So I don't know. I'm not dealing with Texas.
Let me pull a Trump on you. I'm going to trump you.
You're going to trump
you. I'm playing my Trump card.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to take a Trump later. But so
you're going to leave a Trump later.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty good. So a Republican governor says, "No, we don't need 11 boxes, just 1, because that's all we can watch."
Do you know what the election laws are in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Yeah, because when they announced it, it went to court, and believe it or not, the court agreed with them, saying it does not stop people from voting, although it does make it more difficult because you may have to travel from whatever point in that county.
That isn't the only place that the ballots go. They can go to their clerks as well.
Yeah, but
I think down there it's Bureau of Elections.
So how is it the Republicans put out boxes in California, but they took boxes away in Texas?
2 different states. You can't compare that to each other. The election laws are different in
Okay,
each state
all right, and-
because it's the states that have
Right. Okay.
the responsibility
okay.
of setting their election laws.
You're right.
I know I'm right on that one.
Yeah. And the governor of Texas
What about him?
is a Republican.
Yes.
Okay. And the Republican Party of California is Republican.
No. Say that again.
The Republican Party in California is Republican.
Very few of them.
That's not my point. My point is,
You're just what you're
No,
doing
what
is
I'm
just
saying is
pointing out
this.
to what Republicans are doing over Democrats.
No. Now, Trump Jr.
Yeah.
is
Which one? Eric or Donald?
no. Eric's a moron.
Well, Eric's here in
Jr.
Michigan.
is
He's bringing in a lot on the rallies too.
yeah, right, okay. He's amassing an army. Now, I have heard from a lot of voters, and when we talk, there are a lot of people that are afraid to go to the polls now
Why?
because they feel that there's going to be intimidation there. They've seen some of the people, and I've seen them. There was, I don't usually watch TMZ, but there was something that came over my phone of Trump supporters going after Black Lives Matter, and the guy tore them up. He hit a woman, he threw over their tables, and I mean, this is getting stupid.
You mean between the right and left?
Yeah, the thing is,
They're both violent on
but
both
see,
sides.
here's something I don't see. I hear about the left from Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Black Lives Matter is a group. They have
Marxist group.
What?
Marxist group.
Okay, explain Marxist to me.
Every time I
Explain it
just
again.
go on their website. They already claim that they're a Marxist communistic group.
Marxist communist is. I don't understand because Marxism was that you be fair across the board.
No, Marxism was what the Communist Party. All right, the Communist Party is a party that believes in the community. Okay, but the community doesn't own anything. It's all belonging to the government. Same thing with socialism. It all belongs to the government. There's a fine line between socialism and communism. Marxism is just a belief
What did you say
within
about
the system.
socialism?
Socialism is a fine line between socialism and communism.
Okay, and
But on both of those, the government owns the majority of everything.
okay. So how is the left socialist? They don't want. They want to own their own stuff.
The majority of the ones that are calling themselves socialists here in America don't realize what socialism really is.
That's what I've been finding out. And because when I sat down, I said, "Okay, wait a minute, socialism."
Because what they're wanting is they want socialized medicine and socialized schooling.
Well,
That's
now wait a minute.
basically
There's
it.
got to be a different term for that.
They use the term in Sweden and Denmark.
Okay.
And now Bernie Sanders calls it democratic socialism. But the thing is, they're still capitalist countries. Denmark and them are still capitalist countries.
I think the term socialism is wrong. I think health care for all. I don't think that everything should be shelled out.
Right.
We are still a capitalist area. However, it should not come down to you live or die by the dollar. Does that make sense?
Well, that part is true. I mean, we're one of the richest countries in the world. I mean, but as far as free health care and free college, there's no such thing as free. And that's like I was looking at, we're getting way off the subject.
No, because this is why people are voting. And the terminology and the things that are happening are scaring people.
Well,
Now-
it should on some of it.
No.
Because and this is what, you know me.
I want
You're
people
more
to vote.
federalist and I'm more statewide. But I look at it this way. I mean, Joe Biden comes up there and his plan says, anybody making $400,000 or more, we're going to raise their taxes. There's a problem with that, to me. Okay, it doesn't bother me that he's taxing people who are making $400,000, but 80% of those people that are making $400,000 are business owners.
Okay, but
And that's the LLCs. Now, and the small S groups. Now, here's the problem with that. What happens when we raise taxes on the corporations and the businesses?
Okay, now he said he wanted to go from 21 to 28%. What was
Yep.
it when Trump lowered it down? Was it not 32, 34,
33,
36?
I think it was.
It was quite
33.
high.
Yeah.
It was quite high. So a tax cut, I had no problem with a tax cut. However, they still didn't bring the money back over. They still had it in banks. Now,
There's
banks,
still company, and it shows there's corporations that have brought money back in. There's
Some have.
There's
Some
there's
have.
corporate. Yeah, you're not going to get everybody to do it because we have something in this country and every country in the world. It's called greed.
yeah.
Okay, some want to comply with what it is because the system done something good for them, so they want to make. It's still a greed factor because the reason they're coming back with the money, anybody who's rich. Look, let's take Dan Gilbert for an instance. Do you really think he funneled all that money into Detroit just out of the kindness of his heart, being a philanthropist?
No.
He put it in there because he knows he's going to make more money from his investment.
However,
And that's how they all work.
I would say some.
No.
I would say
If you're a good businessman, you're gonna branch out to
they're
your
going to make
community,
money,
but it's all aimed at making money to themselves because they know the better the community looks and builds up, the more
no
money
argument.
they get.
No argument. But I do think that there was some philanthropy there, just like with what's the one, Bill Gates. Now, what I heard about Bill Gates was, he's money. But Bill Gates and his wife have given millions and millions of dollars. Amazon,
All right, here we go now.
okay.
There's a lot of the reason that they give all this money is because that gives them a tax break too. Okay, that's what they get to write off.
Yes, they do get a tax break,
but they've
given more than what is really necessary because they went into a lot of schools, even Detroit schools, and brought in computers and gave them because first of all,
a write-off.
it's yes and
Don't
no.
ever think that these people, out
Yes,
of the
they do.
kindness of their hearts, are going to donate
Now, wait a minute,
millions
wait a
of
minute.
dollars
Hold
without
it.
any money coming back.
If you give so much, you're only allowed to give so much.
You only get so much as a tax write-off.
Right. Okay. So I give to the church. I give over $200,
Mm-hmm.
well over $200. But all I can do is cap it at
Right.
$200. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop at $200 so I can.
There's a big difference between
It's principle.
there's the religious portion and what these guys are doing for business.
Okay, but I'm saying they're going to make some money, but they also do create jobs, and that same thing that they're doing also brings the money back in because if you invest in a factory or something, or a restaurant. Let's take a restaurant because I understand those. You invest in a restaurant, and you want to get greedy, and you want to stick by the book. I want to make money. Well, you probably won't.
No, because you'll price yourself out of it. That's the greed. That's too much greed.
But if you keep, bringing people in, lower prices, better food, I mean, for whatever reason, the ambiance, or you give them a free drink, whatever the hell you give. Example, Taco Bell many years ago was the first one. They were going under. They were just about ready to close up shop. And somebody came up with the stupid idea of free refills.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did it take off and did they grow, they expanded beyond all understanding. But then the others looked at it and said, hey, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we can't get that anymore because that's different.
Well, that's because COVID.
Yeah.
They're afraid of the refill.
But getting back to the voting, I see more coming from the right.
More what?
Intimidation, threats, actions that are keeping people from
There's not
voting.
no more coming from the right or more coming from the left. They are
I
equally
hear-
intimidating
I
everything.
hear-
But at the polls, you are going to see more Republicans at the polls than you will Democrats.
I hear more from the right. The only thing I hear from the left is what Trump says. And we've had this argument before.
The only thing you hear from the left.
Oh, the left is out there. The left. We have to do something about the left. When they asked him about the Proud Boys, no, we have to do something about the left. The left. Now, him
I
and
think
Bill
there's
Barr.
a big misconception about
now
the Proud Boys.
who exactly is the left?
The Democrats are the left. That's always been that way, and you know it.
Biden is not in the left. Biden is still.
He's not a moderate. Don't even go there.
Yeah, he is.
He's not a moderate.
He's a moderate.
He's a figurehead. I'm
moderate.
telling you right now, he's a figurehead. Hell, just recently at his last rally, he's running for Senate again.
I'd rather have Biden than Trump. And the thing
Biden
about this
in
election,
47 years hasn't really done nothing.
well, that's what Trump said.
That's what you look up on his record.
No, go ahead and look at his record.
Look at his record.
Look at his record.
Putting himself in with these bigots and everything else that he was involved with, the racism and stuff like that.
Oh, and Trump.
The other senators back then.
Oh, so Trump and Putin must go to McDonald's together, huh?
I don't care where they go.
McDonald's-skis?
Hey, didn't they just say Putin agreed to take care of the country while Trump was sick? Who said that?
The point is, our vote this time
Yes.
is going to determine not who runs the country, but how it's run.
Yes. I'll agree with that one.
And that is why this election is so important.
You're right. I believe it really is.
I am amazed that how the military, how the veterans can back Trump with
look
the
what
fact,
he's done with the veterans
with
system.
the fact that he himself would not fight in a battle. He himself, he had a show where he wants to be the tough guy, but he can't do it because he's a punk. He can't even fire someone.
I can tell you why the veterans are behind Trump. Because of what he's done with the Veterans Administration.
Yeah, he put 3 of his cronies in charge of the Veterans Administration, and it's not as good as you think.
The veterans are saying the system's a lot better now than what it was 4 years ago.
I want to hear that after this is over, and I want to hear who it comes from, because there's a lot.
I'm just telling you, it's coming from the veterans and the Veterans Administration.
Well, I've heard a lot of veterans who are not particularly thrilled with him. Just like when he didn't go to one of the debates because, I guess the female there was it Megyn Kelly? She was there, so he instead did a rally with the veterans, promised them $1 million.
Up in Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah, and never gave it to him.
That was back in 2016.
But my point is,
2015.
These people fought for the country.
Yes.
Some of them never came back. Now
Correct.
they showed some things on McCain. You know, I'm learning more and more about McCain.
Mm-hmm. He's a very respectable man.
Yes. The things
his mother
that he
just died, and she was 108 years old.
Yeah, I was amazed, and not only and the whole track of his family, and yet Trump bashed him. And he now Millie has come out and said, "Don't use my picture in." Right. Fauci said the same thing. So what is he doing now? He's bashing them. So he plays this game that is not.
We keep getting off on subject. I thought you wanted to stay voting.
Because the vote now, the person you vote for is going to determine.
I don't
which
think you're
way
voting
we go.
for a person this time. I think you're voting for a completely different way of life.
Well, I think saving. Okay.
I believe that's how important this election is.
2015
I mean, you're going to go
to
from
2021. You are going to vote for. In 2021 will determine what direction we go in. That's why that vote is so important. Now, for the people, the reason I brought up the military is so many of these guys died, and they gave up their life. They gave up their family so that we could vote.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to see and give all the credit in the world to the people of Georgia yesterday and in Texas, too. They stood there for 10 to 11 hours. They were passing pizza back and forth, 6-foot distance. But they stayed there and they voted. And that's why I say to everyone here, however you vote, your choice. Make the right one.
Yeah, the right.
I walked into that one, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, okay. Well, just do what's left. And but vote. I just can't tell you how important it is. I am looking so forward to walking in there, and I don't care how long it takes.
Right.
Now, if you go into the voting booth or into the polling area, even in the parking lot, these people are not allowed to talk to you. That's in the law.
Yeah.
They cannot have a gun.
Right.
They cannot have a phone. They are not to speak to you. They are not to tell you who to vote for.
Oh, you're talking about the poll watchers.
Yes. And the ones in the parking lot. If they do, pull out your phone, take your picture, record it, and call the police or go to the poll workers inside and say, look, I've been, Now, when I was running, they did. There's a line of demarcation.
Yeah, there was the candidate couldn't go up to so far.
Right, no,
but they
that's,
could come out there and talk to you and everything
yes,
else.
but these are people that are talking to you on behalf of. Now, if you pass out the literature, you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to intimidate. You are not allowed to.
Right.
This is my candidate. My candidate does this. Now, I went through all of that. In fact, it was actually kind of fun when it was done right. I saw some that hounded you.
Oh, yeah.
And demanded, and don't be stupid. Or here, just vote this ticket. I've said it. I got to go through my litany of bullshit. One, and this is the most important thing about your vote. I'll tell you. They work for you. Regardless of what Trump says, regardless of what Biden says, regardless of what Graham or McConnell or any one of these sons of bitches. You are their boss. And that vote of yours is like kryptonite to them. Now, it may only be every 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, whatever the case may be. But you are their boss. And when you talk to them, you let them know, wait a minute, you asked me for the job.
You can be that way with them, but at the same time, most of them will hang up on you.
Most of them won't even talk to you. They don't even answer their phones anymore. And they put layers of people because they don't want to talk to people. They feel that we are beneath them. Not all of them. Not all of them. There's some good ones out there. But the majority are, you're nothing to me.
Right.
Okay? Except when they want that vote. Then they'll come up and pat you on the head.
But
Otherwise, they wouldn't give you...
Out of all truthfulness, the best way to pick a candidate is not by the party.
No.
It's by what their policies are, what's going to benefit you and your community. Actually look into what they're trying to promise you, because we already know half of what they promise you is a lie. The other half, you might get lucky and they might get some of the stuff through. But at the same time, pay attention to what the politicians are saying to you. And like I said, look at it and see what it's going to do for you and your family, and your communities. If it's something that you can get behind and you think that it'll work for you, vote for that candidate. It doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, U.S. taxpayers, Green Party. I mean...
But the other thing, too, is when 9/11 happened, people came together.
The country's always come together when something nationally has happened.
Yes. Well, this is one of those times. And this is one time when Reagan ran.
This isn't a matter of unity. This is a matter of choice.
This is a matter of saving this country for what we have built it to be. Now, I brought up the Constitution before because I heard it again today. The Founding Fathers. Wait a minute. The Founding Fathers gave us a foundation.
A guide.
And we built on that. They even left, by Madison, an out for anything that they may have missed or any errors that they may have made.
Who was it that said, if I remember right, one of the Founding Fathers said, "We have built a republic. Now let's see if we can keep it."
I want to say James Monroe, but don't quote me on that.
Because I tell you what, no matter, and I've heard people say the U.S. Constitution is outdated. It's really not outdated because we've built upon it. But at the same time, there's certain parts of it that are
Yes,
not ever
but
going to be changed.
They were written at a time when they couldn't foresee what we have. So now, can you? And when they write the laws or the laws that come under that particular category, then you can make those adjustments. Now that comes from the legislature. They make those laws, and then they send it to the executive
they're
branch.
still even bound by the Constitution.
Right, but you go from the basics. It's just, well, if you really want to take our country and our Constitution, then go to the Ten Commandments, because those are the basics.
That's religion. This is separate from religion.
No. Our
Those are God's rules.
Our Constitution was also written with religion in mind, even though they said
Always has
separation
been.
of church and state.
Yes.
But you go off of those, and then we add this, and we grew this, and we grew this.
Well, back then,
there's no way.
religion was part of everybody's life.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
Well, yeah, but see, back then.
Back then, they didn't. Well,
You
if they had an atheist, he wasn't around long.
No, no.
And now, I mean,
And there's
it's
still
the
some
first,
countries that
it's
are
the
like
First
that.
Amendment that gives us the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and pretty much the life, liberty,
But
and happiness all out of the
that's
same
what
one.
people don't understand. When you cast your vote, you are casting it on all those freedoms that you were given. And if somebody
And if you
comes
don't
in,
pay attention,
you will
little
lose
ones
them.
will lose.
Yes.
They like
Yes.
taking little bits here and
Now-
there, because then you don't feel it, because normally the ones that they're taking, you're not feeling.
I'll bring up Black Lives Matter, because when the Constitution was written, that wasn't really in there.
No.
And then they came in and they made them 3/5 of a person. Okay.
Oh, it's slavery?
Okay, so it kept going and evolving and evolving and evolving, and it still has not evolved to across the board. Women still have a little bit. Now, some of it is.
I don't know anybody around here that's going to tell me that a woman ain't more powerful than a man.
No,
because behind every powerful man, there's a good woman. And them women control that powerful man, whether you know it or
There are still
not.
some men who believe, Constitution or no Constitution, that women are inferior. The issue of, which it just blows me away every time, well, when I ran, and even to this day, a job, whether it's done by a man or a woman, should be equal pay. The job is the job. If you do the job, the body that is doing it should get
As long as
this
they were
much.
hired at the same time, as long as they're doing the exact same job.
Well, if it's
yes.
a union contract, that's I
I'm
got
not even
that.
talking about union
What are you
contract.
talking
I
about?
mean, there's a lot of issues on this that I mean, if it's a job that's negotiable, that's between whoever gets, if a woman's negotiating, she gets what she negotiates. If a man's negotiating, he gets whatever he negotiates. That's what that part is there. Now, I've heard this argument many, many times, and I understand there's some jobs out there that women don't make as much as men, okay? Still to this day.
Throw
But at
some
the
out.
same time,
Throw some out. Sorry,
I can't tell you because I don't know. I've never, I mean, every woman I've ever worked with makes as much money as I do.
I just
Okay,
figured
I don't see the discrepancies, but I know, I've heard about them, and I've talked to women that have explained their point of view. I mean, one woman actually, when I was running for governor, she came up to me and asked me what my opinion was on it. I said, well, it should be equal pay for equal work. But she says, well, I make I think it was I'm just going to throw a number out, $1.50 less than what Joe Blow does over here. And I said, and then she turns around and tells me that she's been there 2 years and he's been here 7 years.
Okay, well,
That's a difference.
Okay, no,
And
I get that one. I
That's
get that one.
seniority right there.
Yeah,
and
okay.
it was only $1. It was like $1 something. But
Well,
at the same
okay.
time, I said, this is where the issue is. Equal pay for equal work. I agree with 100%.
Well, let's look at here's one that I think a lot of people understand: the women's soccer team.
The women don't draw in as many fans as the men's do.
Yeah, but they win in more championships.
The women actually make more in a percentage than what the men do. If you look that up, I remember that argument. The women made less, but they made a higher percentage than what the men did. I think the men got
Sounds like-
9% and the women got 13%. But they made less money because they don't draw in as many fans. So the ticket sales were less on the female soccer league than the men's soccer league. Yes, they won a championship. They got a bonus for it. Still didn't equal to what the men made all year because they sold more in tickets than the women. That's not a discrepancy in women and men. That's the leagues. Okay, the female leagues are not drawing in the crowds. The WBA, Women's Basketball League, they didn't draw as many fans in as the men's do.
I gotta tell you, I saw some of their games. I sure as hell like watching the women. They're more fundamental in playing basketball as opposed to showboating.
Yeah.
Now the men will get down and dirty, but the women, I mean, that's good basketball.
I'm just telling you, this is what the discrepancy is, and
well, I mean,
with all these leagues that are bringing this up.
In the kitchen where I work, I've seen that and to me it's unfair because if you get behind
they
that
sign
line,
their own contracts. Okay, they negotiate their contracts, and like I used the example with the men's soccer team and the women's soccer team. I don't remember the exact percentages, but I do remember the men's percentage was 3 or 4 points lower than what the women's was, but they were still making more.
If there is a situation of longevity in that, yeah, I got that, but there must be more to it than because it's still a huge issue. But the fact is, it still exists.
It does in some jobs, and I can't tell you what they are because everyone I've looked at is the ones that are doing the arguing are negotiable jobs. This is what I don't understand, and I know this is going to sound male chauvinistic, and I don't mean it to.
Wait a minute.
You're going to put your mask on.
Get my mask on. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, women can be strong negotiators, but men usually negotiate better deals than what women do. And I don't know why.
I'll tell you the truth.
Years ago when I went...
I see women, especially in my profession, I don't see them as women. I see them as professionals. I see them as people who.
But you brought up this issue, and that's why I'm trying to
because it's
separate
still
it and
out
try
there.
to dig in there. It's
still
going to
out
be
there.
out there because somebody's always going to be ticked off at somebody for some other reason, and money is an evil thing no matter how you look at it. Everybody wants to make more money than what this person does and then everybody feels like they're worth more money than what they really are.
So could we improve on it?
We can always improve on it.
So we could improve on Black Lives Matter.
As in?
I mean, some of the stuff that's been going on is really outrageous. We can improve on it.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for the black community. I work with a lot of brothers that are black.
Then why am I
They
seeing...
make just as much damn money as I do.
Why am I seeing on the right the way they go after them when they are protesting? Now, the protest that I saw was they were not interfering with anyone. They were on their side, and the other side was on their side, and the guy crossed over. But there's so much of that.
There's instigators on both sides.
And also, the FBI has found that a lot of the groups that came in and did the violence and broke the windows and all of that came in and left. I've told you that. And they have films of it. And they...
just like they have films of mysterious stacks of bricks there.
Yeah, Ray has said that. Mm-hmm. And yet the only time I hear about the left is from Trump and Barr and a few of his people. It's the left. It's the left. Well, you keep saying it's the left.
You don't,
the
and
left
I'm
what?
going to argue with you
Give
on this
me,
one. Because at the same time, you don't see CNN, you don't see MSNBC reporting on the riots going out on the
only Fox sees
Portland.
That.
You don't.
Oh, now wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Just like this, there was a couple where I seen CNNs were saying that this was a peaceful protest, but there's buildings burning in the background.
True. There are peaceful protesters.
Yes. Nothing wrong with peaceful protests. That's your right.
Okay. Now, like Biden said, violence is not part of it.
Biden did not denounce any of this until just recently, because it's starting
He's
to
been
build.
denouncing it for about a month.
He has remained quiet when all of them were up on the debate stage. All these Democrats.
Oh, now wait a minute. During the debate, I'll agree with you on that.
They never once denounced any of this. They're all peaceful protesters, and that's BS to the fullest. The good ones are fine, but
then don't put the good ones with the bad ones.
They're all in the same
Don't
areas.
put the good ones with the bad ones, because if you do, then you do it for the right. If you're going to do that, then everyone on the right that is
I have not
protesting
designated any of it. I'm
there
just
are
telling you that.
there are some people on the right that have been peaceful protesters.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're going to do that to the left is the bad guys, and the right, well, they're not so bad.
I never was
that's
saying
crap.
anything about the
no,
left
but
on
Trump
this. I was
has.
talking about the Democrats. I'm not Trump.
No, I know. That's why they put glass between us. Now, because time is winding down, okay. Like I said, by the time this airs, we'll probably be very close to voting. So I'm asking you, please, please. People gave up their lives. They gave up all the happiness and the future that they could have had. They gave up so much so that you can vote. Your vote, like the lady said in Georgia yesterday, I'm voting as if my life depends on it. Now, if you want to go with the Trumpster, that's your business. Okay, you go. But remember this, you live with what he gives you. So if you think these last 4 years or something, you ain't seen nothing yet. It'll be entertaining, for sure. But you're probably not going to like it any more than the left. But I'm begging you, find a way to vote. If you've got to get somebody to drive you down, Uber or whatever, get a friend, take you down, get that ballot in, get it in on time, make sure it's correct. Have them check it over right there. Did I do this right? Then lick the damn thing and put it in. Your turn.
I'm not going to show disgust like Dave does for Trump or anything like that.
No, you drove for Biden. That's why you're on that side.
What I'm going
You
to
have your
tell you,
rights.
what I'm going to tell you is, pay attention to what these candidates are offering. If your life is better than it was 4 years ago, vote for that person that you feel fits your family. I don't care if it's Republican. I don't care if it's Democrat. Vote for the person that fits what you need for your family. But like Dave said, your vote is important. Every vote counts. Don't ever think that your vote doesn't count, because the small elections are where you'll see where the difference is made. And that's what I personally, I'm going to the ballots because I believe in going in person. There's nobody there that's going to intimidate me to scare me away from casting my ballot.
For all of us, for each other, demand, and you have the right to scream and yell, demand that all the ballots are counted.
As long as they're in
If
before
it
8
doesn't-
p.m. on election day.
As long as they follow the rules.
Yes.
But every ballot must be counted. There cannot be any, well, we're going to cut it off here. And don't listen to this crap that's happening. As I say, pull your camera out, take a picture, turn them in, because they are destroying what we have. And once, I will tell you this, once we lose it, there's
won't
a good
get it back.
No. So vote as if your life depends on it. And, well, that was about as best we can do.
Yeah.
So,
Have a good evening, and thank you for listening.
see you next time. Hey, look at the nice leaves out there. It was
changing
gorgeous
colors.
this weekend.
Yeah, it was.